Okay, it is time to represent the independent repair industry. We are getting a bad rap in the wake of this Error 53 Apple stuff. So Apple, most of you guys know that Apple released a statement in response to a bunch of press about Error 53 that's finally come to the mainstream media, which is fantastic. And Apple acknowledged that they created Error 53 to intentionally brick iPhones that don't have a fingerprint sensor. But they worded it in a way that's extremely clever. I recently wrote a blog post about Error 53 and my thoughts on the Apple statement and the reality of Error 53. So go read the blog. I'll make a link here. But what it really does to independent repair is it presents Apple as saying, we're protecting you. You know, they're not really protecting us because those phones are already disabled for touch, but they make it seem like Error 53 is protecting people from a security risk that someone could just pick up their phone that has been tampered with by a third party and then just walk away with their bank information, and Error 53 is there to protect everyone. And so really the take-home message, I think, that's really out there right now is that Apple is protecting its users from a potential security breach, and really that we should all be skeptical of independent repair. And really just take your phones to Apple. You can't trust those independent repair guys. And that is a big problem, I think. That's a huge disservice to the independent repair community. And I think we should do something about that. So what can we do? What can we do to kind of create to sort of explain the reality, which is, yes, there are tons of unsavory third-party repair options. You know, there are lots of people that are in a race to the bottom looking to, you know, hang on to these profit margins as screen prices get higher and higher, and so they are using less than original quality parts, and you probably don't want to take your device to these guys. So, you know, if you're shopping on price alone for a repair, it's probably not a good idea. But that doesn't mean that there aren't zillions of really excellent shops out there, people that really care about their customers and that are really going to be ambassadors of repair, that are going to put the customer's best interest first. You know, I had a bunch of people that came in here today, and, you know, probably half of them I fixed something for free or solved a small issue for free, and you know, a percentage of them I said, this device is not feasible to repair. Some of them I said, your best bet is to go to Apple. And for others, I did the repair. And you know, I think that we as the independent repair industry need to get out there and connect with the public and let them know that quality independent repair does exist. How can they find that? How can they judge whether or not they should trust someone? And part of that is to just sort of educate the public on what independent repair is. So I started doing that last night. It didn't work out. So that's why I'm making this video, because I need your help. You know, I was banned from the Apple support community within a couple of hours of joining up. And but while I was there in those couple of hours, I really learned that those are the guys that really need to hear the voice of independent repair, of quality independent repair. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So you know, if you have a problem with your iPhone, you're going to go to the internet, and one of the places that you can easily end up is at the Apple community forums, where you can talk about your problem and ask, you know, hey, is this a problem? What should I do? So let's take a look at that, and I will show you my experience, and I'm going to enlist you guys for some support so that you can help me, since I can't do it anymore, get out there and really represent quality independent repair to the public online. So let's take a look. Okay, so let's take a look and see what that looks like. So here we are at Apple support communities in the hardware section, And, you know, you can just kind of scroll through here and, you know, pick one. My iPhone 5S lost power. Somebody said it's a dead motherboard and could not be fixed, and I could replace it with a new one. It's been 2 years. Could it be replaced? So an iPhone 5 that's lost power. 5S suddenly lost power while charging. It's a dead motherboard, cannot be fixed. I could replace it with a new one. It's been 2 years. I'd like to know if it could really be replaced, as it's a hardware problem. I'd like to know, how could I recover the photos and contacts? All right, so here we go. So this guy wants data recovery on an iPhone 5S that is dead. So that's the kind of thing that I fix all the time. You know, a dead 5S, you know, could certainly be addressed at board level for the purpose of data recovery to get the pictures back. So let's see if the people direct him to getting it looked at for someone to do board repair. So let's see. If you truly have a dead motherboard, there's no way to recover your photos or contacts. You should have already been backing them up. There's no warranty, and your phone's past the warranty. You're going to have to buy a new iPhone. Thank you very much. Is there any way to fix it? I show some videos on YouTube which give me some hope, but unfortunately out of my country. I'm not sure if it's a dead motherboard or maybe a motherboard issue. I don't know what it is. I feel so desperate I cannot recover my data. I don't have an iCloud account. Thank you. And that's it. So no help from the Apple support community at all to, you know, address this you know, possibly solvable issue with a dead iPhone 5S. You know, send it in for data recovery and see what happens. So they really frown on that. So let me show you my experience. So let's see. Here we are. So I started answering some of these questions as I would generally do if they walked in my store, which would be to give them their real options and listen to what they had to say about the problem and try to give them a solution that was in their best interest. So my posts started getting removed. So let's look at the first one. So the first post that was removed here, we've removed your post on how do I clean the charging port. So let's see what I wrote. This guy was just asking how do I clean the charging port on my iPhone 6. So I said, get some 99% alcohol and a cotton swab to clean your charging port. But what I'm guessing he's really asking is, you know, how do I troubleshoot a iPhone that won't charge? So clean out the charge port, yes, and then open up your phone, disconnect the battery, and then you can order a replacement dock connector, overlay that, plug it in, and see if that solves the problem. If it does, then go ahead and install the new dock connector. So you don't actually have to turn all the screws to install the dock connector just to test. You can just click it in and see whether or not that solves. I think that the iPhone 6 is too young to actually need a new battery. So if it's not the battery and it's not the lint, belly button lint, and it's not a failed dock, then it could very well often, in my experience, be the U2 charging chip or the TriStar chip on the iPhone 6. So that would be a logic board repair. And so I think that, you know, I'd tell him he can find all of the parts and instructions on iFixit, which is a very friendly place for somebody that is a DIY person. So there you go. You can ignore that if you don't like it, but that, I feel, is a perfectly valid answer to a question where he's asking about his charging port, because my guess is he's trying to troubleshoot a phone that doesn't charge. So that was deleted, and let's see what the answers are. That stick. Use a toothpick to clean out the charging port. A bright light and something to pry out the pocket lint are generally sufficient. Anything more involved than that should be handled by Apple or an authorized service center, of course. And then my stuff was deleted, so they let me keep this one that said it could equally be pocket lint, charge port, TriStar chip. I know for sure the most efficient thing to do would be to take it to someone who could diagnose all three possibilities on the spot, which I totally think is true. And then I get criticism. Despite your desire to dismantle the phone for a small fee, they are seeking advice to clean the port, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, all after I made that post for the rest of the night last night, these guys would refer back to my bad advice that I'm giving people, telling them to open their precious iPhones because they, you know, when really all they need to do is clean out the lint, you know, which, you know, is possible, but you know, it's equally likely that it's not a belly button lint problem. Who knows what it is? So let's see, here's another phone. I dropped my iPhone in a cup of tea and now it won't turn on. How do I fix this? So let's look at my response. I said, let's see. Yeah, we removed your post. Okay, here's what I said. Told him not to put it in any rice, to get it opened up ASAP, DIY, or take it to a local independent repair shop. Time is of the essence. You can save many wet phones if they get prompt attention before the water has a chance to dry out on the board and leave the conductive minerals dried on the board. Resist the temptation to turn it on just to see. Once it's open, get the board out. Professional sweep frequency ultrasonic cleaner with the shields removed. Address any oxidation with microsoldering. Let it dry and cross your fingers. So I'm saying this to let them know that this is really the best practice. And obviously that's not a DIY practice. So you need to find someone that can do that. Water damage can be tough, and I recommend that any phone that's seen water be replaced, but you know, every now and then it's minor, and if you really get it opened up quickly, then you have a pretty good chance of being able to save the phone, and especially your data. My advice is to skip the Apple Store. They can't help you with water damage. Your only option with them is to replace the device for out of warranty, unless you opted for Apple Care Plus. So they can do nothing for your data. All true. That was deleted because it violates the agreement. It's an inappropriate post. These are supposed to be answers to technical questions, and this is inappropriate. Okay, so let's see the answers that stick. So let's go to drop my phone in tea. Now this one, I think a bunch of repair people came on here today. I upvoted this one, but let's see what the regulars. Here's a level 7 poster. Take it to Apple. For what? Here's the next guy. Level 6, been on here a long time. Whatever you do, do not attempt to take it apart yourself, and do not go to a non-authorized repair shop. Follow Gail's advice. If you follow Menden I's advice, which has now been deleted, then Apple will not do an out-of-warranty repair, and you must pay full price for a new phone, which is not true in my experience, and I fix a lot of water damage and send a lot of post-data recovery water damage repairs back out into the world to be turned in as out-of-warranty replacements. And in fact, I told this guy, look, you know, I went down to the Apple Store last week, and I had a conversation in person with the Apple Store technician, and I asked them, is it kind of a waste of my time to be putting shields back on the board after I do data recovery? What would actually make you bounce a phone for out of warranty? And they said, no, it's fine. You know, as long as we can read the code on the board and it matches the back housing, then we're good. You know, so as long as we can verify that it is indeed, you know, an Apple product, you know, then we're good. You don't need to kill yourself. So at least maybe stores are different, I don't know, but at my Apple Store, they're not going to disqualify you from an out of warranty replacement because you tried to get your data off of your wet phone. And so then we've got some support coming in here. This is Matt, you know, from iFixit, and yeah, here we go. And you can see, like, here's Matt's a newbie, you know, and now here comes the old school level 8 guy. You avoid any and all post-warranty support from Apple. They'll no longer service your device, your wet iPhone, whatever, 5S. Local repair shops use counterfeit parts, and since Apple doesn't sell parts, newer devices with Touch ID will be rendered useless if you have unauthorized repairs done and update the device. Apple provides a warranty for their repairs, like we don't, and even out of warranty issues that third-party places cannot match. what? You know, are you kidding me? You know, especially with a $700 device, I'm going to allow the manufacturer to do any and all service, which they don't do. They can't do anything. They're going to take your wet phone and chuck it in a pile and ask for your credit card. And then they're basically selling you a new phone at a discount for turning in your phone carcass. That is not repair in any way. That is not service. This just drives me crazy. So let's see what else. I think we don't have to really beat a dead horse here. This is a cup of tea got removed. This is yeah, here's another one. This is somebody that's asking about, I think it's this question, Touch ID. So they've got an iPhone 5S that they can't, that their Touch ID is not working. But other than that, the 5S is fine. And so they preach for a while and eventually get to a question. The question is, how can I change the home button Touch ID sensor by myself without getting an error 53 or a non-working Touch ID on an iPhone 5S? So that's a valid question. And the answer is you can't change the Touch ID on a 5S outside of Apple. But the good news is that you also can't get error 53. So you can live without Touch ID on the 5S, or you can replace it. That's really it. You know, so here comes the answers. You can't, Apple does not, you know, blah, 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 blah. Anybody that says they have one for sale is lying or has a salvaged part, a stolen part, or a counterfeit part. And then he's got this whole business about penny-wise, pound foolish, which is a little bit nuts because he's implying that Apple might have fixed it for free on a 5S with a bad touch sensor. Not going to happen. That's way out of warranty. But you can't get the free fix because you opened your phone. Bad advice, you know. You know, he goes on. And so I answered this as well, and let's see the answer I put. The good news is the 5S doesn't get error 53. Totally true. That's a disease specific to the 6. If I were you, I'd live without Touch ID and not worry about it. There's no option DIY or through independent repair to repair your 5S with a new home button fingerprint sensor. If the Touch ID is that important to you, your options are to sell the phone as is and then buy a different 5S on eBay. And if you did that, it probably wouldn't be a super big cost difference, I wouldn't think. Or 2, you could smash your LCD and go to Apple for a new screen, and the new screen would come with a new home button, which would then be paired to your board by Apple, and that would cost you the $129 for the iPhone 5S screen replacement. And that's your option. And I think both of those are legitimate, valid options. You know, maybe it's a little sketchy to say on the Apple site, hey, you should intentionally smash an Apple LCD in order to get a screen replacement. You know, maybe that's a little sketchy, but I think that answer is definitely more relevant and stronger than the answer here all about, you know, maybe you could have gotten it for free, which is certainly not true. And what is really funny though is, you know, so then I was banned. You know, here we go. You know, I have been banned for a week, so I can't go there and post anymore. So what's been going on in my absence? I've been kind of looking back on these posts today. And here's one I commented on last night. This one drives me crazy. This will really drive you nuts. This poor guy. This guy has an iPhone 6 where he did a DIY screen replacement, and you know, he messed up something with the home button, and he did not have functioning Touch ID. So he probably got, you know, most likely he got a tear in either the long flex or the home button flex itself, or maybe a pin on the connector, something like that. But he, as far as we know, you know, he still has his original home button. Maybe he doesn't. But everything is functioning except for Touch ID. He doesn't mention that he changed his home button. So then he says he sends his phone to the Apple Repair Center, asking them to fix his broken Touch ID issue. So he did not give them any authority to restore the phone. He just said, hey, you know, I opened it up and I changed the screen and now my touch isn't working. Can you fix it? And they had the option to say, no, we're not going to touch this device because you went to, you opened your phone on your own. No, bad. So we're not going to help you, which would be appropriate. But instead, they tried to restore it. Now, this is the thing that really drives me crazy about this, that Apple has just acknowledged that they are aware that error 53 is triggered by having a, you know, missing, damaged, faulty fingerprint sensor. So here comes in a phone to them with a damaged fingerprint sensor, and they choose to restore it. They, by definition, had to have known that that would brick the phone, and they did it anyway. They did it anyway, and then they tell the guy, sorry, we can't help you. How about, sorry, we can't help you before you brick his phone? His phone was fine. You know, I mean, my phone, I don't use Touch ID. His phone was identical to mine. Touch ID is not usable on either one of them, but it's still a phone and it works. They bricked his phone. They charged him for having opened the phone before and sent it back to him broken. That is insane. That is totally insane. So does Apple have the right to brick my phone? Hell no, if you ask me, but let's see what the Apple guys have to say. Oh, here we go, level 9. He's definitely an expert here. The problem originated when you did an unauthorized repair. Read this post that's quoting the Error 53 policy statement, you know, you can learn all about Error 53 and how Apple's protecting you. All right, here comes me. Oh man, that's awful. Of course you have every right to repair your device. You can hope that it's just a torn long flex, which can still be repaired and clear Error 53. That's true. So if it's just the long flex, you can change that out and clear Error 53 with the original button. Or if it's damage to the button itself or something that's repairable. I mean, even I'm not doing full breaks in the home flex anymore. That is a nightmare. But you know, if it was a minor tear, like a tiny rip where it was just a couple of traces, then I would still take that repair. So I would advise him to go find someone that can microsolder those traces. So if it's a damage to the button itself, then there's really no solution. You know, so then here comes here comes a guy. Perhaps you have every right, but you also have the right to make a mistake during the repair, which is most likely what happened. And while you have the right to repair the phone yourself, Apple has the right to refuse to provide support for phones that have been repaired by unauthorized parties. True, but they didn't repair it, they bricked it. So, so I kind of said that, and then what should I do? And here's what I tell him. Open it back up and see if you can find where the damage is. See if you can find if it's the long flex, replace that, and Error 53 will clear. If it's damage to the home flex itself, it can be repaired. If it's not torn too horribly, there's plenty of microsolderers out there can help you. And then I gave him a name of Ronnie Saba in Lebanon because that was close to this guy. Thanks, he says. And he, you know, I assume it was him, said, good job. And then here comes a guy. It's a regular around here, but he's only level 4. Won't work. Error 53 can only be cleared by Apple. And because he voided his warranty and did the repair himself, then he is out of luck. Stop giving bad advice, Jessa. You know, which just absolutely drives me crazy because it's just not true. And you know, these guys, they're, you know, I mean, they believe what they believe, you know. So my point is that they're gonna believe what they're gonna believe, but they're the only voices to the rest of the world on these forums. And then here comes somebody defending my hey, it's not bad advice. So he's saying that I do a pretty good job. And be perfectly clear, your advice is wrong, KC7GNM. Error 53 can only be cleared by Apple's false. If you have the original home button, it can be cleared, or the flex, you can solder it. And then this guy comes along, level 7, and says he's seen a lot of truly ridiculous advice coming out of Mendon iPad Rehab, that's me, proposing disassembling the phone for issues that can easily be fixed with a simple reset, restore, or using a toothpick to clean the lightning connector. Oh, I mean, so, you know, this guy's really picking on me for telling somebody to use, to clean out their charge port, and if that doesn't solve, pop in a dock, you know, and take it from there. Based on her actual posts, I would question all advice from that source. I started with an open mind, but she convinced me she is a danger to iOS device owners. Oh, and then he calls this guy a shill. Yeah, and then here comes somebody else, level 9. I will certainly question the advice of someone who, when a person asks how to clean out a charging port, tells them to take the phone apart, or who, when the phone is misreporting battery levels, tells them to take the phone apart and replace the battery. Oh my God, opening the phone. I'd sooner burn my fingers. Just because someone who knows how to solder things doesn't know they know when to solder things. And they think that I'm one person and not an organization. So let's see. Oh, here we go. Here's some more criticism, this guy. I mean, so I've been banned. I can't reply to any of this. I've employed a lot of hardware and software technicians in my 40 years in the IT industry, and the first thing I expect is that they diagnose a problem before trying to fix it. To replace a battery without first running a non-invasive test of the battery is irresponsible, bordering on malfeasance. This is nuts. Malfeasance to unscrew 2 screws and see if a known good battery clears it up. Call me crazy. I call that diagnosis, you know. It's just insane. Oh, I would fire anyone immediately if they made a repair without first that is diagnosing it. You got a bad battery problem. Put in another battery. This is just insane. Especially when it involves voiding a warranty. Oh, can you imagine what if Apple found out that you had unscrewed those 2 bottom screws and propped up that iPhone screen? Oh my God, that would be horrible. And to not do the very time-consuming, non-invasive first step seems a bit trigger-happy. But unless you take the phone apart, you don't get to solder anything. Insane. So then and so while I was kind of like getting these tabs up here, I looked back at this post. And as usual, they just delete everything. So so the one guy that came along to say, hey, Jessa does a good job, deleted, and that's really the end of that thread as far as it stands right now. So here we go back, and I think we'll kind of wrap this up. But so, you know, so my experience last night with Apple support communities is this. One, that is a legitimate place where your customers are going for real advice. They're expecting to get guidance at Apple support communities. Number 2 is that I read the terms and conditions twice because I didn't want to step on toes. You know, and I get it. If Apple wants to say in their terms and conditions for their site, where their goal is to sell their product, they have every right to say, you know what, we recommend that everyone take any device, any problem to the Apple Store and we'll deal with it. And we do not recommend that anyone ever seek outside help. And so we expect our community forum to abide by that policy. But they don't say that. You know, they don't say you cannot talk about independent repair. That's not in the terms and conditions. So according to the, you know, I mean, I'll try to follow the rules, you know. The rules just say that the post has to be relevant and correct, you know, which in my opinion, what I posted is to the point, non-inflammatory, and correct answers for these questions. And if these posts were to stay on the board and not get deleted, then that would give users, anyone else that's Googling this question, anyone else that's sort of quietly reading with the same problem, it would give them an idea of what independent repair really looks like. I think it would really mean a lot to me as a consumer going here for advice if I could read, you know, this is how I would approach that phone as an independent repair person. And it would make me think, you know, and a lot of times I would say, hey, you know, your option here is Apple's replacement for $299, $269, but it really needs about a $50 repair for a button change. You know, there's a lot of posts that are asking that. I would want to know if I had about a $50 repair on an older out of warranty device, that I could get that done. Look around, find somebody good around you, read reviews. You know, I would want to do that. I want that information. And if that voice is not heard, if we don't make the effort to post on there and have these, and to do it in a gentle enough, non-offensive way that these posts stick on these threads, if we don't do that, then the only information that these users are getting is that it's not repairable. There's nothing you can do. You can't recover a dead board and get your precious pictures on it. It's impossible. And, you know, for water damage, go to Apple. You know, just insane advice that's just driving people to waste money replacing phones that are perfectly repairable. And that's just bad for repair in general, and it's bad for independent repair. So, so my experience here is that this place needs our voice. And it's really easy when you go post on here, and these people that spend their lives on here telling people to go to Apple, they don't like it. And so it's sometimes really difficult not to just say, you're an idiot. You know, but if you really try to be diplomatic, you know, your goal is to represent the independent repair community and to really just sort of consider it a duty. And I think this is important in the wake of the entire world getting the message, you should be skeptical of independent repair. That's what everyone has heard this week. It is our job to go out in the world, comment on all of these news articles, comment on the Guardian article, comment on Apple Insider, you know, comment on Mac rumors, and to go to where the customers are and where they can hear us most, which is online on public forums where these guys are. If you think I'm skeptical of independent repair, you're going to go to this forum to get advice. And when the only voices there are telling you, you have to go to Apple, don't go to independent repair, you know, that you will get your device bricked, you'll be throwing $700 down the drain, these people are going to void your warranty. They need to understand and to be shown, you know, let's talk about the warranty. What warranty? If I crack my phone, no warranty. If I get my phone wet, no warranty. If there's a ding or scratch on it, there is no warranty. What are you really trying to protect? And that if you go to a quality shop, they can look in your phone and diagnose what the problem is, and maybe the problem is something that is in warranty and should be serviced by Apple. Close it back up, send them to Apple. A quality repair shop doesn't necessarily void a warranty just by looking inside a device that was assembled by humans in China. Assemble it back by humans in wherever you are. It's the same. Send them to Apple if that's where they belong. But there's no excuse. And this whole business about, you know, this big question of, is Apple going to deny you out of warranty support replacement if somebody looked at your phone? And in my experience, the answer is no. And I could be wrong about that. And I'd like to know from you guys, how common is it in your experience for Apple to deny out of warranty because somebody tried to fix their phone? So if you've got a water damaged phone and you take the board out, try to clean it, it doesn't work, put the phone back together, that is going to look different. It will be obvious that someone's been in the phone. Is Apple going to bounce that for out of warranty replacement? My Apple store in person, when I ask them, says no, it's fine. I've sent out, you know, zillions of phones like that. I put the shields back on and give them back to them, and I haven't heard anybody telling me, hey, I got bounced for out of warranty. So what can we do? So I don't think that is true, but it may be, and I'd like to know how common that is, because that would probably change. That might change some of the advice that I would give. But here the end message here is that I am asking you, if you do quality independent repair, get out there, especially today, especially this week. Get out there, blog about this. Get out in your community, talk to people, post in your community Facebook groups, show them what you can do, and just through writing intelligent discourse that's not inflammatory, where you bite your fingers rather than tell someone that they're an idiot, where you really sort of remain up here and just show everyone just how educated, how smart, how good, how much we really know about iPhone hardware repair, and to help inspire them to trust quality independent repair shops and believe that we really can save them money and help them extend the lives of their devices, because that is exactly what we do, and they need to know it. So get out there. I will see you on the forums after I'm unbanned.